Hey there, fellow truth seekers. Tonight, we are diving into a topic that has been buzzing around the fringes of history and theorized in most recent times. We're talking about the ancient Anunnaki beings, those mysterious beings from ancient Mesopotamian texts that some believe might just be the key to unlocking the secrets of human origins. Now, I know what you are thinking. Another wild theory about aliens, but hang on, because this one's got some pretty intriguing evidence behind it. We're going to explore the ancient Sumerian tablets, their translations, and the mind-blowing possibility that these beings might have actually seeded Earth with the modern human race. And get this, we might even carry their DNA. Stick around, because later, we'll be discussing the wild idea that 5% of humans could have Anunnaki genes, giving them some seriously cool extrasensory powers. So, let's start at the beginning. This Anunnaki story comes from ancient Sumerian texts, some of the oldest written records we have. These emerald and clay tablets, painstakingly translated by scholars, tell a tale that's almost too fantastic to believe. According to these writings, the Anunnaki were a group of deities, or were they actually advanced extraterrestrials who came to Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago? But here's where it gets really interesting. These texts suggest that the Anunnaki didn't just pop by for a quick visit. No, they apparently stuck around and played a major role in shaping human civilization. We're talking about teaching us agriculture, mathematics, and even the concept of time. Pretty heavy stuff, right? Now, I can almost hear you asking, but why would they do all this? Well, according to some interpretations of these ancient texts, the Anunnaki had a very specific purpose in mind. They needed workers to help them mine gold, which they supposedly used for their own advanced technology. And that's where we humans come in. The tablets describe a process where the Anunnaki supposedly took their own DNA and mixed it with that of early hominids to create a more intelligent, capable worker. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, isn't it? But remember, these stories were written thousands of years before we even had the concept of DNA, or genetic engineering. So, if we follow this line of thinking, it raises some pretty mind-bending questions. Could we actually be carrying Anunnaki DNA in our genes? Are we, in a sense, part alien? It's a wild thought, but it's one that's captured the imagination of researchers and theorists for years. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds pretty out there. And you're right, it does, but isn't it fascinating to consider? Even if we don't take it as literal truth, these stories offer a unique perspective on human origins and our place in the universe. But let's take it a step further. What if there's more to this story than just ancient myths and modern speculation? Some researchers have proposed an even more radical idea that a small percentage of humans might have a higher concentration of Anunnaki DNA. We are talking about, potentially, 5% of the population carrying a genetic legacy that could give them abilities beyond what we consider normal. Now, before you start trying to bend spoons with your mind, let's be clear. We're not talking about X-Men-level superpowers here, but the idea is that these individuals might have enhanced intuition, heightened empathy, or even psychic abilities. It is a concept that bridges the gap between ancient mythology and modern discussions about human potential and consciousness. Of course, all of this is highly speculative. We don't have hard scientific evidence to back up these claims. But isn't that part of what makes it so intriguing? It challenges us to think beyond our current understanding, to question the narratives we've been taught about human history and our evolution within mankind. So, where does this leave us? Well, if nothing else, the Anunnaki story is a fascinating lens through which to view human history and our potential as a species. It encourages us to ask big questions about our origins, our capabilities, and our place in the cosmos. Whether you believe in the literal interpretation of the Anunnaki tales, or see them as metaphorical stories that reflect ancient humans' attempts to understand their world, there's no denying the impact these ideas have had on our collective imagination. So, what do you think? Could there be some truth to the Anunnaki story? Are we carrying the legacy of ancient astronauts in our DNA? Or is it all just an elaborate myth? Whatever your take, it's certainly food for thought. And who knows, maybe the next time you have a sudden flash of intuition or a moment of inexplicable knowing, you'll wonder if it's your inner Anunnaki showing through. Remember, the universe is vast and full of mysteries, and sometimes the most outlandish-sounding ideas can lead us to profound truths about ourselves and our world. Shortly, we will dive into an in-depth investigation of this outstanding theory and look into the evidence surrounding this. But first, let me give a brief introduction to the Anunnaki. Before we establish the link between our shared DNA, where do the Anunnaki come from? The term Anunnaki comes from ancient Sumerian, a language used in ancient Mesopotamia, around 3000 BC. The word Anunnaki itself consists of two separate words, which when put together roughly translate to offspring of the gods. The Anunnaki were thought to be a pantheon of deities who came down from the heavens to help mankind in its time of need. They were seen as superior beings who possessed great knowledge and power beyond that of mortals. The Sumerians believed that the Anunnaki were responsible for creating humans to serve as their servants and laborers after combining the DNA of them with early humans. According to the Epic of Gilgamesh, a collection of Mesopotamian myths compiled around 2000 BC, the Anunnaki created humans out of clay and water to help them with their arduous tasks. Humans were created to be subservient to the Anunnaki and to assist them in their work. However, the Anunnaki also bestowed certain gifts upon humans, such as the ability to speak, to think, and to create. These gifts allowed humans to develop their own culture and society, but also made them susceptible to temptation and sin. The Anunnaki were also credited with bringing civilization to humans, teaching them how to farm, to build, and to live in organized communities. They were seen as benevolent rulers who guided humanity during its early years, helping it to flourish and grow. However, the Anunnaki were not without their own internal conflicts and power struggles. According to some texts, there was a war between the Anunnaki and the demons, with the former ultimately emerging victorious and taking control of the underworld. This war is thought to have had a profound impact on the fate of humanity, with the Anunnaki using human sacrifices to appease their gods and maintain their power. As time went on, the role of the Anunnaki in human history became increasingly ambiguous. In some texts, they were seen as benevolent creators and teachers, while in others, they were portrayed as oppressive rulers who kept humans in a state of servitude. This ambiguity has led to much debate and speculation about the true nature of the Anunnaki and their relationship to humanity. Some believe that they were nothing more than myths and legends, while others believe that they represent a real and tangible connection between the physical and spiritual realms. Did the Anunnaki really visit Earth? When it comes to the question of whether or not the Anunnaki actually visited Earth, the evidence is both intriguing and controversial. There are various ancient texts and artifacts that seem to depict the Anunnaki as having come from the sky in vehicles that resemble modern-day spaceships. These accounts often describe them arriving in fiery chariots pulled by winged creatures or descending in great vessels that emit brilliant lights. One of the most famous depictions of the Anunnaki coming to Earth can be found in the ancient text known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. In this epic tale, the Anunnaki are said to have descended from the heavens in a great ship and carried off the goddess Inanna to the underworld. Another account comes from the ancient Sumerian king list, which describes the Anunnaki as having come to Earth to judge the offspring of mankind. These beings are said to have flown through the air in their chariots and observed the human race from above. There are also numerous ancient artifacts that depict the Anunnaki as having visited Earth. For example, there are several statues and reliefs that show the Anunnaki riding strange vehicles or being pulled through the air by unknown creatures. One of the most intriguing artifacts is the so-called silver sickle, found in the tomb of an ancient Sumerian priest. The artifact appears to be a strange device with sharp edges and a handle that could potentially be used as a tool or weapon. Some believe that it may have been used by the Anunnaki to harvest crops, or even to defend themselves against earthly threats. However, it is important to note that many of these ancient texts and artifacts have been lost or destroyed over the centuries, making it difficult to piece together a complete picture of the Anunnaki and their interactions with humanity. Moreover, some scholars argue that the descriptions of the Anunnaki coming to Earth can be interpreted in different ways, and may not necessarily refer to extraterrestrial visitors. For example, some suggest that the fiery chariots and spaceships may have been symbolic representations of divine power, rather than literal vehicles. In the end, the question of whether or not the Anunnaki really visited Earth is one that will likely continue to be debated for many years to come. While there is certainly evidence to support the idea that they did in fact come from the sky in extraordinary vehicles, it is also possible that these accounts are simply a reflection of ancient human fascination with the heavens and the divine. Now that we've covered what the Anunnaki are and where they come from, let's move on to the next question, which is whether or not we ourselves are of Anunnaki DNA. This is a fascinating and complex question that touches on themes of human origins, the nature of reality, and the possibility of extraterrestrial contact. According to ancient texts and beliefs, the Anunnaki were a race of highly advanced beings who possessed great knowledge and power. They were said to be the offspring of the gods who came down to Earth to interact with humans. However, the question of whether or not we ourselves are Anunnaki is a more nuanced one that requires careful consideration. On the one hand, there are those who believe that humans were created by the Anunnaki to serve as their laborers and assistants. According to this view, we are the descendants of the first humans who were formed from clay and water and brought to life by the Anunnaki themselves. If this is true, then we are essentially the creations of the Anunnaki, and therefore not Anunnaki ourselves. On the other hand, there are those who believe that humans are actually Anunnaki, who have forgotten their true origins. This view is based on the idea that we possess certain abilities and characteristics that are similar to those of the Anunnaki, and that we have the potential to access their knowledge and power if we only remember who we are. Proponents of this view often cite ancient texts and archaeological evidence that suggests a connection between humans and the Anunnaki beings. It is also worth noting that the concept of the Anunnaki has been the subject of much debate and speculation in recent years. Some believe that the Anunnaki are extraterrestrials who have visited Earth from other planets, while others believe that they are spiritual beings from higher dimensions. If this is the case, then the question of whether or not we are Anunnaki becomes even more complex, as it would suggest that we have the ability to transcend the limitations of our physical bodies and tap into a higher state of consciousness. Ultimately, the question of whether or not we are Anunnaki is one that each individual must answer for themselves. There is no definitive proof or disproof of either possibility, and the evidence can be interpreted in different ways depending on one's beliefs and perspectives. However, exploring this question can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe, and can help us to unlock our true potential. Next, let's go into the linking between the Anunnaki bloodline and humans who are capable of having special abilities. In the annals of human history, few theories have captured the imagination quite like the idea that our DNA may have been altered thousands of years ago. This alteration, some suggest, was not the result of a natural evolution process, but rather a deliberate intervention by beings from beyond our world. As we delve deeper into this fascinating hypothesis, we must ask ourselves, could the ancient Sumerian tales of the Anunnaki hold the key to understanding our own genetic makeup? The Anunnaki, as described in the enigmatic Emerald Tablets, were said to be advanced beings who came to Earth in search of resources. Among these celestial visitors, two figures stand out: Enki and Enlil. These brothers' actions may have shaped the course of human development, but what if their influence extended far beyond the realms of mythology and into the very fabric of our being? Consider for a moment the possibility that the Anunnaki did not merely interact with early humans, but they fundamentally altered our genetic code. This theory posits that our DNA was manipulated to create a more advanced species, one capable of serving the needs of these extraterrestrial beings. But could such an intervention have left lasting traces in our modern genome? As we examine the human condition today, we find ourselves confronted with a puzzling array of traits that seem at odds with our evolutionary past. Why do so many people experience chronic anxiety, heightened sensitivity, and an almost supernatural awareness of their surroundings in normal day-to-day life? Could these characteristics be the echoes of our altered DNA, a survival mechanism encoded by our ancient benefactors, or perhaps manipulators? Let us consider the modern individual, constantly on edge, attuned to the slightest changes in their environment. Is this merely a product of our fast-paced, stress-filled world? Or could it be something more? Perhaps these individuals are the living embodiments of the Anunnaki's genetic legacy, their heightened senses a gift or a burden, passed down through countless generations. But what purpose could such traits serve in our contemporary society? In a world far removed from the dangers our ancestors faced, why do we still carry these markers of hypervigilant qualities? The answer may lie in the very nature of consciousness itself. These heightened senses, this constant state of alertness, might be more than just an evolutionary holdover. They could be the key to unlocking higher states of awareness. As we ponder these questions, we must also consider the implications for those who experience these traits most acutely. How does one navigate a world that seems overwhelming, when every stimulus is amplified, every emotion intensified? Is it possible to harness these sensitivities and transform them from a source of anxiety into a wellspring of strength? The evidence suggests that embracing these unique qualities may be the path forward. Rather than viewing heightened awareness as a disorder to be treated, we might instead see it as a gift to be cultivated. Those who possess these traits often report experiences of profound intuition, creativity, and empathy, qualities that are increasingly valuable in our interconnected world. But how can we reconcile this ancient legacy with the demands of modern life? The key may lie in understanding and accepting our genetic inheritance. By recognizing these sensitivities as natural, even beneficial, we can begin to work with them rather than against them. Meditation, mindfulness practices, and other techniques for managing sensory input can help individuals channel their heightened awareness into positive outcomes. Moreover, we must consider the possibility that these traits are not merely vestiges of the past, but adaptations for the future. In a world facing unprecedented challenges, could the Anunnaki's genetic modifications be preparing us for the next stage of human evolution or survival period? Perhaps the very qualities that cause discomfort in our current society are precisely what we need to navigate the complexities of tomorrow. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of our genetic code, we may find more evidence to support or refute the theory of Anunnaki intervention. But regardless of its origins, the reality of heightened sensitivity and awareness in many individuals cannot be denied. The question then becomes, how do we honor this aspect of our nature while thriving in the modern world? For those who feel the weight of their heightened senses, it is crucial to remember that you are not alone. Throughout history, visionaries, artists, and innovators have often been those who experience the world more intensely than others. Your sensitivity may be the very thing that allows you to perceive solutions and create beauty that others cannot. In embracing these forces within us, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of our place in the universe. Whether our DNA was altered by ancient astronauts or shaped by the inexorable forces of evolutionary ways, the fact remains that we possess remarkable capabilities. By trusting in these innate powers, we may unlock potentials that have lain dormant for millennia. As we conclude our exploration of this provocative theory, we are left with more questions than answers. Yet, in questioning, we grow. In seeking to understand our past, we shape our future. And in embracing the full spectrum of our genetic inheritance, be it terrestrial or cosmic in origin, we take one step closer to realizing the true potential of what it means to be human. The journey of self-discovery is ongoing, and the mystery of our origins continues to unfold. But perhaps, in the end, it is not the source of our DNA that matters most, but what we choose to do with the gifts we have been given. As we move forward, let us carry with us the wisdom of the ancients, the curiosity of the present, and the hope for a future where our unique sensitivities are recognized not as burdens, but as the keys to unlocking the next chapter in the human story. As we delve deeper into the enigma of the Anunnaki, we find ourselves confronted with a tantalizing question. What traces of their presence might still linger on our planet today? The ancient world is dotted with monumental structures that have long puzzled historians and archaeologists alike. Could these awe-inspiring creations be the key to unlocking the mystery of our celestial ancestors? From the towering pyramids of Egypt to the intricate ziggurats of Mesopotamia, from the cryptic Sumerian tablets to the enigmatic circle of Stonehenge, these architectural marvels have stood the test of time, silently guarding their secrets. But what if these structures are more than mere testaments to human ingenuity? What if they are, in fact, the fingerprints of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization? Consider the Great Pyramid of Giza, a structure of such precise engineering that it continues to baffle experts to this day. Its perfect alignment with the cardinal points of the compass and its incorporation of pi and phi in its dimensions suggest a level of mathematical and astronomical knowledge far beyond what we believed possible for the ancient Egyptians. Could this be evidence of Anunnaki influence? The ziggurats of ancient Mesopotamia, with their stepped pyramid design, have long been associated with the stairway to heaven concept. These massive structures, built to honor the gods, bear a striking resemblance to launch pads. Is it possible that they once served as landing sites for Anunnaki spacecraft? Then there are the Sumerian tablets, ancient clay documents that speak of gods descending from the heavens. These texts describe beings of great power and knowledge, who taught humans the arts of civilization. The parallels between these accounts and the concept of the Anunnaki are hard to ignore. Across the world in England, we find Stonehenge, a prehistoric monument that has baffled researchers for centuries. Its precise astronomical alignments and the immense effort required to transport and erect its massive stones suggest a purpose far beyond simple sun worship. Could it have been an ancient observatory, designed with Anunnaki knowledge to track celestial movements? Fringe archaeologists have long pointed to these structures as evidence of advanced ancient technology. They argue that the precision stone cutting found in sites across the globe, from Pumapunku in Bolivia to the Temple of Jupiter in Lebanon, is beyond the capabilities of ancient tools. Some even suggest that these stones bear marks of machine cutting, hinting at technology far ahead of its time. The astronomical alignments found in many ancient sites add another layer to this mystery. From the pyramids of Giza, mirroring the constellation of Orion, to the Mayan city of Chichen Itza, aligning with Venus, these structures seem to embody a deep understanding of the cosmos. Is this knowledge a legacy of the Anunnaki? As we ponder these questions, we must also consider the recent discoveries in human genetics. The identification of what some researchers call alien DNA in a small percentage of the human population has reignited the debate about our origins. Could this be the genetic legacy of the Anunnaki, passed down through generations? The idea that 5% of humans might carry Anunnaki DNA is a provocative one. It suggests that our celestial visitors may have left more than just architectural wonders behind. They may have fundamentally altered the course of human evolution, leaving their mark in our very genetic code. This genetic legacy, if real, could explain the sudden leaps in human civilization that have puzzled historians for decades. The rapid development of agriculture, writing, and complex societal structures seems almost too quick to be explained by natural evolution alone. Could the influence of Anunnaki DNA have accelerated our progress? As we look at the wonders of the ancient world through this lens, a pattern begins to emerge. The similarities in architectural styles and astronomical knowledge across different cultures and continents become harder to dismiss as mere coincidence. From the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of South America, from Stonehenge to the statues of Easter Island, we see echoes of a global influence. These ancient wonders, scattered across our planet, seem to whisper of a shared heritage, a common source of knowledge that transcends geographical boundaries. The precision of their construction, the depth of astronomical understanding they embody, and the sheer scale of these projects all point to a level of sophistication that seems out of place in the ancient world. But perhaps the most compelling evidence lies not in stone or stars, but in ourselves. The recent advancements in genetic research have revealed surprising complexities in human DNA. Scientists have identified genes that seem to have appeared suddenly in our genetic code, with no clear evolutionary path. Some researchers suggest that these could be the result of genetic engineering by an advanced civilization. If the Anunnaki did indeed alter our DNA, what was their purpose? Were they creating a workforce, as some ancient texts suggest? Or were they engaged in a grand experiment, guiding the evolution of a species? The implications of such intervention are profound, challenging our understanding of human history and our place in the universe. As we stand at the threshold of a new era in human understanding, with our own forays into genetic engineering and space exploration, we find ourselves circling back to these ancient questions. The possibility that we are not alone in the universe, that we may in fact be the product of extraterrestrial intervention, is no longer confined to the realm of science fiction. The evidence, while circumstantial, is compelling. The monumental structures that have survived millennia, the sudden leaps in human knowledge and capability, and the mysteries lurking in our own DNA all point to a fascinating possibility that the Anunnaki were not just visitors, but architects of human civilization. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of our past, we may find that the truth is more extraordinary than we ever imagined. The legacy of the Anunnaki, if real, is not just written in stone or clay, but in the very fabric of our being. It challenges us to reconsider our history, our potential, and our place in the cosmos. The question remains, are these ancient wonders and genetic anomalies proof of Anunnaki influence? While definitive evidence remains elusive, the possibility cannot be dismissed. As we stand on the cusp of new discoveries in space exploration and genetic science, we may be closer than ever to answering this age-old question. Perhaps, in unlocking the secrets of our past, we will find the key to our future. The legacy of the Anunnaki, whether myth or reality, continues to inspire us to look beyond our earthly boundaries, to seek answers in the stars, and to ponder the true extent of our potential as a species. As we conclude this exploration of the Anunnaki legacy, we are left with more questions than answers. But perhaps that is the true gift of this ancient mystery. It compels us to keep searching, to keep questioning, and to remain open to the possibility that our history and our future may be more extraordinary than we ever dared to imagine.